Welcome in, everybody. It is Coach's Corner with Dave Rach, the head coach of the South Range Raiders. Week number 4 is among us. We are now into conference play, and the Raiders play host to the Lakeview Bulldogs tonight, right here on YSN. Coach, first up, congratulations on another big win over a D2 program in Barberton last week. Let's talk quickly about Barberton. I mean, you guys controlled the line of scrimmage from the jump on both offense and defense. How great is that to be a coach and watch that line of scrimmage battle go in your favor?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously probably the biggest part of the game. The biggest part of what we do is trying to control the line of scrimmage and the run game really on both sides. So I thought we did a good job. I think, last week against Barberton, for most of the first half, that's about as good as we've played up until this point, which was encouraging. You'd expect to get better from week 1 to 2 and then again from week 2 to week 3. But still, it was nice to see a lot of the hard work that the kids have put in, over the past couple of weeks starting to showing the results on the field.
When you talk about this schedule, I mean, we've talked about it multiple times, 6 straight weeks at home, then 4 weeks away. But Barberton was one that people had circled as potentially the first loss of the Raiders season because it was a Division 5 team playing a Division 2 team. Does that game give you kind of confidence moving forward into the NE8 and knowing that you played a team that was, 3 divisions bigger than you?
I think any win, gives you confidence moving forward and starts getting some momentum going. But for us, we also understand that, with the beginning of Northeast State conference play, really starts a new season, a new chapter to what we're trying to do. And we also understand that, being that we are the defending champions, there's a lot of teams on our schedule that have circled this game. So, in order for us to have success, we're going to have to make sure that we keep circling all the games, because I think it's a Super Bowl for everybody that we play. So we've got to try to match their intensity and make it so that, every game is we prepare for it as if it's a championship game, because you never know when that game's going to come.
Last year, Lakeview, South Range, a very tightly contested battle. For you this year, are you letting the guys know, okay, listen, this isn't the same Lakeview that when this league started, didn't kind of live up to the hype. This is a team that's coming for you. They have the dogs. They have guys that they're going to battle you up front. And they're going to grind this out 4 quarters. What's the speech? What are you hanging your hat on this week against the Bulldogs?
Well, our kids know. I mean, they were obviously there last year, and I think we knew going into last year's game that we were up for a great challenge, and it was going to require 48 minutes of great football, and that didn't shock us last year. I think if Lakeview had stayed healthy, throughout the course of the year, they would have made a lot more noise than what they did make, and they still had a nice year. But our kids are smart enough to realize that we have a team coming in here that's undefeated, that's playing at a really high level. They've given up 6 points, on the year. I think they're, you can tell when you turn the film on. Our kids watch a ton of film. You can tell turning the film on that they have a plan. They're really well coached. They're dynamic offensively and defensively, and they fly to the ball. They're physical. So our guys understand what we're up against tonight. And that it's going to require 48 minutes of smash mouth football, and we're going to have to overcome some adversity and just try to keep on plugging away and win a 12-rounder.
I'm very interested about this one. You guys seemingly have had distractions all over the place since the beginning of the season. Another distraction, people calling this potentially a trap game. No disrespect to Lakeview, but you've got Struthers, which everybody's looking at next week as potentially one of the biggest games all season. How do you keep your guys locked in and focused on the task at hand tonight?
Oh, I think they understand how hard it is to win games in this conference. Whether it's in week 4 or whether it's in week 10, there are no easy games in this football conference, and especially when you're talking about Lakeview. I mean, I don't think there's any kind of looking ahead to Struthers just because we know we have our hands full this week. I mean, it's an absolute. I think it's crazy that people would try to separate this conference into a couple tiers just because I know and our kids are well aware that I think Lakeview is good enough to beat anybody in this conference, on any given night. And our kids understand that, if we don't win tonight, it doesn't matter what happens next week. We can shoot ourselves in the foot real quick. So, we've got to come out and try to handle business tonight. And again, try to find a way to win a game that we know is going to be a 4-quarter, 48-minute ball game.
What have you seen in Lakeview that is going to present challenge for the Raiders tonight?
I mean, you name it. I think you start with them defensively, giving up 6 points this year. They create a lot of negative plays for their opponents. They keep the ball in front of them. They tackle well. They swarm to the football. They've been really explosive on special teams. To a point where they haven't gotten as many return attempts as what they probably would like, just because I think teams are kicking it away from them. And being that I get to see a lot of these guys, in the track season as a track coach, I know what kind of top end speed they have on the perimeter. And I would argue, I mean, if you look at just the track results, they're the fastest team in the conference, and it's not real close. So they're dynamic back there. And then you look at them offensively, they're big, they're good in the pits, they're well coached. I think they've got a great plan that they make you tackle in tough spots, and they force guys to tackle alone. And the quarterback's really good. I mean, you can watch some highlights from last year when he was at Harding, and then what he's done up to this point this year. He's got a huge arm. There's a reason that he's being recruited the way he is. So just a really complete team that we're going to have to play a great game in order to have success against them.
And we've seen through 3 weeks, we've seen we've seen the great defense shutting out teams. We've seen great offense putting up points. But last week we saw incredible special teams. We saw Luke Starkey with a career and school record field goal, 45 yards. How nice is that to have in your back pocket when potentially some of these defenses stand up at some point against your stellar offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. The special teams have played, I think, an enormous role in all 3 games so far. You look at, we have a kick return for a touchdown week 1 that I think really blows the game open. And then week 2 against Salem, we have a kick return score or kick return that sets up a score. We block a punt that we score 2 plays later. So that's probably a 14-point swing right there. And then last week, you said it, with Luke with the big field goal, a 45-yarder, it makes our job a lot easier, makes our decision-making process a lot more clear and a lot easier, when you're down there in the green area or the red zone, where you have that opportunity to at least get points out of a drive. You fall behind, and now you're not stuck in that weird spot where, do we punt it? Do we try to throw one up on 4th and long? What do you do here? It's nice to be able to come away with points and try to extend games to maybe a 2-score game. Or, last week it ended up being the difference between going into the halftime with a running clock and without one, because that put us up 31. And, it makes it a little bit easier to try to play in the second half when you're going out with a running clock to start with.
Off topic, I think we have to go here and talk about this. This has been a very tough month for the South Range community as a whole. With some tragic passings away of some influential community members, as well as people that are very, very close to the South Range community. For you, how do you look at this and see an opportunity to teach and have one of these teaching moments for your kids and your student athletes, and say, listen, this is a family. We all, we celebrate together, we mourn together, we do everything together. Given the past month and a half or so that's happened at South Range.
Yeah, I think, our job as high school coaches or as educators, as teachers, is really to be, I guess, making an effort, to help kids win in the game of life just as much as or more than the game of football. And, with some of the stuff that's been going on, I keep telling our guys, you've been given a lot, so a lot's going to be required of you, and just trying to get them to understand the importance of family and telling the people that you love them. And, trying to encourage them to be leaders in the community, to help inspire people, to wrap their arms around people, to help try to galvanize a community that's hurting right now, and our kids are hurting. Some of the losses have been really close to most of our program. And I think our kids understand that the game of football kind of pales in comparison to the game of life, and that they're trying to do the best they can. I mean, they're young, and they're trying to navigate things and do the best they can. But they also understand that, we're really fortunate that we have a family, that's our entire South Range community, and that, at some point or another, we're all going to have to lean on our family members, and we're going to have to pick each other up and try to lead as best we can.
I think one of the greatest things that I've seen to date here at YSN is what happened last week, potentially, when Robbie Myers, whose mom just passed away at a very young age. She was a supporter of not only just her business, but the community, every which way she could. You guys took it upon yourself to go and make sure that he was being supported at that football game. And he knew that people were there for him, and that the community was going to rally around this particular family, the Myers family. Why, in your heart, why do you think that was just such an incredible thing to do. And why would you be so proud of your players for standing up and being able to do that?
At the end of the day, I want all of our kids to at some point be great family members, be great dads, be great husbands, brothers, and so forth. So, I didn't have to do a whole lot as far as encouraging them to do that. Robbie and the entire Myers family are our family, and Robbie's been around forever, and our kids love him. Our coaches love him. He means a ton to this program, and I think just when our kids kind of saw the opportunity, to wrap their arms around somebody and just let them know, let a family member know that they love him and they're here for him, they're going to support him. I mean, that's what we're trying to preach all the time in terms of on the field play. They just happen to experience it on a much larger scale. And I say this all the time, but as proud as I am to watch our guys and the way they battle and the way they compete on a Friday night, I'm a lot more proud of the kind of young men that they are off of the field. And that was just, I think, another example of, a bunch of kids that have been raised by great parents in a great community trying to give back and kind of show off what they've learned.
All right. So last question for you. It is related to what we've been talking about, that moment of the game. I know coaches have to be even keeled and level headed. But when you saw that ball get tipped up in the air, Robbie gets his mitts around it and goes back to the end zone. As a dad, as a human being, how much did you want him to cross over that goal line and get that touchdown?
Yeah, it's I was just talking to somebody the other day about this, and I said, there's not many guys. I've been around football since I was 5 years old, 3 or 4 games a week. And I don't know how many people that have been around the game as long as I have can say that the most inspirational player, the most memorable play they've ever seen on a high school football field was made in a 5th and 6th grade game, by a linebacker on an interception. But I mean, not just me, the whole place was going nuts for him. And it was almost, I don't want to push my views on anybody, but it certainly felt spiritual to watch. I guess I would leave it at that. And sometimes, at some point, I think you have to stop thinking things are odd and maybe start thinking that things are God. But it was just really cool to see.
That's what a quote. What a quote. Coach, thank you so much for the time. I know it's been a weird week timing wise with a lot of different things going on. We appreciate you spending some time with us on game day, and we wish you all the best tonight.
Thank you, man. Go Raiders. Appreciate you guys.